Welcome to the Right Tack, where we help private practice owners face the headwinds of the healthcare industry. I'm Paul Jonas, CEO and co-founder of Breezy Billing and Phoenix Credentialing.
And I'm Jim Jonas, therapist, co-founder of Breezy Billing, Phoenix Credentialing, and the Jonas Center.
So today we're joined by a very special guest, Kelly Evans, LMFT, and founder of Down to Earth Therapy in St. Paul, Minnesota. Kelly's here to talk with us about the real-world side of hiring and supervision, what it's like to grow into a leadership role, build a team, and stay true to your values along the way.
Yeah, we'll talk about what she's learned as a practice owner and supervisor, the challenges of leading with heart, and the lessons that come from learning by doing.
So Kelly, welcome to the Right Tack. How are you doing?
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here. This is my first time being a guest on a podcast, and I feel like I'm in good company. So thanks for having me.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to getting into it.
All right. Well, let's dive in.
Before we get into it, though, Kelly, we like to ask our guests this question. What you doing this weekend?
Well, this weekend is Halloween. So tonight I'll be handing out candy to trick-or-treaters, and I have two teenage sons who are going to some late night parties. So I'll be doing some transporting. And then this weekend, my son James is 15 and has his driver's permit, and we are going to be putting in some serious time practicing driving.
Oh, great.
Oh, wow. That's
Yeah.
Is he okay with you, being the instructor, so to speak?
He is. He is so I think he's a little anxious himself.
Okay.
So he narrates the whole time he drives. You know, he says, "Do I stop here? Should I start braking? Should I turn to the right? Should I move to the right? Should I?" You know, and so I just stay really calm and just say, "You're doing a great job. Yep.
Yeah.
Move over to the right." Occasionally, I use my stern voice when we're in a interesting situation, but overall, he's doing well. So
Yeah. Great.
That's awesome. And my son's 15 too, and
yeah.
similar thing. He doesn't ask, but I always think about what kind of driver, parent am I, and what kind of driver son is he or kid learning, and then my wife too. Like we do it differently. How we
Right.
train back, and the one rule we do have is no backseat driving. So whichever one of us is in the backseat, if Mac is driving, us, the family somewhere, it was like whoever's in the backseat doesn't get to talk. Like otherwise there's just too much back and forth and whatnot. And we've been pretty good about that, which is hard.
That's a really good tip. I'm going to take that one home today.
Ooh,
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Great.
Well, Dad, how about you? What are you doing this weekend?
Oh, I have my mowers.
Oh,
Yeah, it's time to winterize my mowers. So
Mm.
I'm going to get outside and do that and put them away and that kind of thing. And we have a pole barn where we keep some free things for people, like trailers and boats and stuff and
Things
campers. Yeah, it's packed.
Mm.
So I'm going to pack some of that away too, and it's fun. And then we just got a side by side a couple of months ago.
If it wasn't for the side by side being mentioned, we'd probably still be talking about your solar panels.
Well,
now it's always the side by side.
It's okay. They are so fun out in the country, let me tell you. And great for grandkids. So yeah, playing around.
Yeah.
Are you getting a plow for the side by side?
Not yet, because I have my bucket. We'll see. Yeah,
right.
I've got my bucket on my tractor. So, what about you, Paul?
Well, let's see. So Halloween tonight. So doing that thing. We've got my youngest who is dressing up as a mummy, so that should be fun.
Mm.
And then we are going to see a Weezer cover band called Pleaser on Saturday. So they're playing at a brewery, having their 11th anniversary. And so we're going to go watch those guys and sing along to some of our favorite songs.
Yeah.
Going to be a good time.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we should talk about the thing we're here to talk about. What do you think?
Should we do that? Okay. Yeah. All right, Paul.
All right.
So here we are. Okay. We're, finding your footing as a leader, and leading and being the owner of a private practice. It's like, Kelly, how can you describe yourself? Well, you do describe yourself as heart-led and sometimes
Mm-hmm.
reluctant as a leader. And I really like that when I saw that. But what can you explain that some more? Tell us what you mean by that in your own journey as a private practice owner.
Yeah, I this is surprising to people when I say this, but I didn't really imagine this for myself. My goal was to be a therapist in a private practice. And when I started that journey, I realized how lonely I was and decided I wanted to start to think about having some colleagues around, and kind of had Down to Earth grow very gradually and naturally over time. And I've just always walked through life with kind of my heart first. And that's how I've kind of approached leadership too. Not my goal hasn't been to build a huge financial. I haven't. My goal hasn't been to make a ton of money. It's been more to create a healthy workplace for people, and I think we do that by caring about people, taking the time to give people space to kind of grow into who they are, and approaching things more from a power with versus power over mentality. And I think that's where the reluctant leadership comes in. I'm not somebody who is excited about telling somebody how to do their job. I really enjoy partnering with somebody, being curious with them and understanding kind of what works for them to grow into the best therapist, colleague, supervisor that they desire to be.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that makes sense.
That does. It's I can see why we relate well together.
Yeah, really, yeah.
Yeah.
It's one of those things. With me, I think of, and this has been criticized before, but that phrase "leading from behind," and to me,
Mm,
it's I'm going to say similar to what you're talking about, which is letting people be their best self and being a support when they need it. So being available
mm-hmm.
when they need it, when they ask for it, and yeah. So I think there's very similar philosophies here. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yeah.
Were you
Yeah.
surprised uh, about what it was like going from, I don't know, from being just a solo clinician to sharing not sharing the power, but to being a leader, or which is a longer trek, I think, 'cause it kind of starts as like we're doing this together, and then suddenly like, well, I got this company to run, so now you kind of consider
Yeah.
leader. Were you surprised at anything along that journey?
Mm. You know, I think that I've been surprised at how I've changed and grown a bit throughout the journey. I used to be so excited about meeting other therapists who, my criteria was just like, you're nice and you want to see clients and we share some values. And I was just kind of like excited to give people a chance. And over time, I think I've defined more of what like the values of Down to Earth are and what I'm looking for, and inviting people into our group. There have been I'm a person who always ends up seeing people's strengths, and that's kind of how I approach therapy too. I see the good in people, and I've learned over time to really also notice those gut feelings and trust those gut feelings, and kind of fine tune what makes Down to Earth a unique place and who would fit well with us.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I
That
don't know that that's necessarily surprising, but it's been a growthful thing.
that kind of reminds me of our journey with the coming up with the ground rules at Breezy, where
Mm,
yeah, it's the harder it is to have a shared understanding. Like, the more people involved, the harder it is to have a shared understanding. So it requires that definition. That
Mm-hmm.
is
yeah.
that what you're talking? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's made as we've grown, and really I've learned a lot from the people we've brought in. I mean, I think at this point and for many years now, Down to Earth has really co-created the environment here and the culture here. And I've learned a lot from the people that have joined the practice as well, and have really learned to trust their instincts too when it comes to growth or making decisions, or even hiring. I usually don't interview alone. And so, yeah, it's really been a collaborative thing.
Cool.
Yeah, yeah. That's kind of funny. I've learned not to interview alone too.
Me
It's
too.
like, because come on, let's, I can really just be blinded by some things. So,
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
That all of us.
yeah, for sure,
Yeah.
for sure. Oh, well, where should we go here? Well, any other early lessons or, things that you've learned along the way? I mean, you've been talking about those, but yeah, anything else comes to mind?
Well, I think, and I think other group practice owners like yourself, Jim, will understand this. I think when you come at this field with a kind of an open heart and wanting people to do really well and wanting to support people in their growth, some of us tend to be almost overly generous. And I think I started the practice thinking, I'm going to give and give and give, and not really considering the balance of wanting to stay in a healthy, um, good place myself.
Hmm.
So whereas at the beginning I thought I could offer maybe even higher splits than I do, or I was replacing furniture all the time when somebody didn't like their bookshelf or something, like things like that. I've
Yeah.
learned to kind of scale back and really think before I do some of those people pleasing things that I used to do, so that
Okay.
I can stay in a healthy place with that too. And that was definitely one of the bigger lessons in the beginning, of
Okay.
finding that balance, honoring your own efforts and your own time, as well as like continuing to create a healthy workplace.
Okay. Well, and I'm, the value of leadership. I mean, have you thought of that too? And just, not that you place a dollar amount on it, but that is so worthwhile. And
Mm-hmm.
considering that, I've had to think about that. So, yeah.
I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
instant
Yeah.
to being
Yeah.
able to communicate
The
the
vision.
accountability stuff. And everyone's along for the ride.
Right. And
Yeah.
the mentoring, that gets into listening, and you're leading from the heart. Yeah. It's being real and genuine with people. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
saying the hard things when you have to say the hard things, you
I
know?
think that's the big thing, is learning to have those hard conversations from the get-go. I mean, one thing I often talk to people about when they start here is, how are we going to have those hard conversations? What's our plan for when things aren't going well? Because I want to be able to talk about those things, and just kind of setting that tone. It's not, you're in trouble, you need to do this, but it's more, hey, I'm noticing this, what's going on, let's talk about it, let's explore it, and just kind of setting the tone that I get to be a colleague, I get to be someone who believes in you and supports you, but I also sometimes put my business hat on and have to have some of those harder conversations. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you
yeah.
talked about your, trusting your gut a little bit more, and I guess kind of intuition or whatever. Um, how can you dig into that a little bit more, or talk a little bit about what that means for you, or how you learn to listen? And from my perspective, you gotta, if you hesitations, like, acknowledge those,
Oh,
and really think about them and take them seriously. But that, what do you do?
Yeah, I think I've really grown to believe that that is my best tool as
Hmm,
a practice owner, as a therapist, as a supervisor. Over time, I used to doubt it. I would
mm,
think, because my intuition often tells me to operate in gray, not to be in black and white. And I early on, I would get some feedback like, you should have a policy for this, or you should have more, a firmer this or this. You should really feel like someone needs to hit this number in order to be considered doing a good job. And I would often avoid that and change my mind about things
mm,
because it didn't feel right considering the whole picture. And what I've learned over time is that's great. Actually, I can um, operate in the gray and really trust my gut on things and give people space and give people a chance and have those honest conversations, instead of what I've heard, more historically, of having a traditional business. You have these hard lines, you have these policies that hasn't worked well for me or for our environment. um, I have really learned to operate and understanding and being curious about people and what they're needing and what they're working on, and having those honest conversations, and letting them kind of grow in the way that they want to grow. And so I've learned, there isn't a way that's right and wrong, but to really trust what I'm getting from the people I'm working with and from
Mhm.
my gut.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's amazing how that sense develops and like a superpower, right? Like you didn't have it before. Suddenly you're like, wow, actually, I've got this thing that I can use that's going to make life or make things better for me or my business or the people who are under that, employment there. Um,
Yeah.
so what, yeah, so what I'm kind of going to ask both you guys this because I mean, you're both
Uh,
hiring, right? And having to make decisions about employees. Um, what do you look for beyond the resume, or what are some of the qualities you look for in the candidates? And then Kelly, as our guest of honor, we'll start with you. This guy's
Please.
Yeah, at this point, I'm really, really welcoming diversity in all
Hmm.
forms. We've grown in our diversity in so many different ways, and it's really made our practice richer, deeper, and we are serving people who are more representative of our whole community. And I've just loved that. So I'm really looking for someone who's bringing something different. That's very much welcomed. And I really enjoy people who have some self awareness, in terms of they understand themselves and can kind of own who they are, own their identities, own kind of the way that they're, what they're looking for, and are excited about joining a practice that values warmth and social justice and diversity. Those are things that are important to me,
I,
Hmm.
I
and
remember,
relationships.
yeah,
Yeah.
I remember the conversation we had, and it was, I'm going to say a year and a half ago, maybe, when you were kind of working through this, like you kind of shifted your hiring a little bit, and just being so, I don't impressed, or I was like, that's a really cool way to approach, you know, growing a practice, growing your practice. That was probably 2 or 3 years ago now. Now that I think about it,
Hmm.
but I just thought that was so cool, that you had to make a conscious decision to really focus on outside of you or what was down to earth and looking into the community around you, the people you were there to support, and then try to reflect.
Hmm. Yeah.
Not everyone.
Yeah. I I'm looking at Glencoe, which is more of our rural setting and everything, and
Yeah.
diversity, and there's diversity in certainly a farm community, and
Hmm.
farm community is another what diverse what do I want to say, um, category, and but the thing I'm thinking about too is that we've kind of shifted to hiring, bringing on younger people, and it seems like they have been very receptive to our culture, and learning from us, and just that has worked out well for us, and we're trying to uh, have our training program, increase that in size, that kind of thing.
Hmm.
That has worked really well for us. I know.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
cool. I know we've talked in
Yeah,
one.
it's
Uh, Go ahead, Kelly.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, I echo what you're saying, Jim, because we have had a lot of young people come through our training program too, and it's kept us so much more fresh.
Yeah.
At this point, several of us therapists have been in the field, 15 years plus. And it's so cool to hear what they're learning and what they're talking about and what they're interested in. And it's that has been a real gift for us too.
Yeah.
So the learning goes
Yeah.
both. Hear you saying?
Mm.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
cool.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Hmm. Well, what's next?
We can ask.
Oh, oh, advice. Here we go. Advice. What advice would you give other
Advice.
practice owners, who are hiring for the first time,
Yeah.
especially for those who feel nervous about getting it wrong?
Yeah. Was that our last episode
Ooh.
about that?
Oh, could be.
Just like the anxiety around like your first
Oh,
lease.
your first office,
And
your
all
first.
that.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And at this stage of the podcast, we're working. I talked about this a little bit earlier, Kelly, but working through the how to start a practice. So we're kind of focused on new practice owners or startups or people thinking about that, and then also trying to
Sure.
getting into like how do you grow it as well. So that's like
Mhm.
kind of the phase two. So yeah, this is like I've seen some things, what advice would you give?
Wisdom.
Wisdom.
Oh,
Yes.
yeah,
Oh,
wisdom.
wow.
Oh, okay, Kelly.
15 plus years. Or-
Okay, yeah, the plus. Yes, son. Yeah.
I think that kind of what I said earlier, being able to um, name that when you're adding someone to your practice, even if you're a brand new practice, there's going to be some hard conversations and kind of planting that seed. Even if you think somebody's wonderful, and I learned this earlier on. I mean, I had people who were my friends join, and things that you don't expect that you're going to have hard conversations about, you suddenly do. And I think starting from the get go, just kind of telling people you're excited about them and you can't wait to get to know them and see how they work and work together. But also that even with the best colleague, you're going to have some tricky conversations because things are going to come up, and just kind of planting that seed. This is where I'm coming from. This is, I want you to feel comfortable sharing where you're at, but I'm going to have to talk to you if, we're going to have to be able to talk about stuff. And how are we going to do that in a way that feels good to both of us? And then I think, anytime you start something new, there is a lot of risk in it. And I
Mm.
guess I would say to new people, I'm here for that. That's a real thing. You just don't know. And there is some leap involved in,
Mhm.
having somebody join your practice. And even the mistakes I've made have brought a lot of learning that's been important to me. Those times that you're like, thank you, universe. I know you're teaching me something. I didn't anticipate this, but I'm going to grow from it. So,
For
yeah.
that. Yeah. Those are hard conversations I think you're talking about, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Business equivalent of when everything's going wrong, and you're like, at least I'm going to get a good story out of this.
Right. That's
I'll look
yeah.
back.
Oh.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you have anything?
Do I
Any
have
follow-up?
anything? Oh my gosh. Oh, I wanted to comment, but I lost it. So let's go ahead. The hard conversations. We'll talk more about that. I think because it's when things are going well, it's easy. Oh, and then when things aren't going well, it's like how to do that. And I I have kept my wife on, who's a retired therapist now, but she's the assistant
Yeah.
director, so that I can talk to her about staffing issues and get input from her about what to do. And I rely on Christine quite a bit with that too.
Yeah.
That I'm not going in, with my biases or, going in blind when I do have to have a difficult conversation with somebody. So,
Right.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I felt the first person that I brought on, Leah, who's still with me, um, she and I have she's our clinic manager, and I run a lot of things by her, and I value her perspective. And then I've had the same mentor forever. It feels like for many, many years since before Down to Earth. And she's someone that I really trust and value her perspective too. So I agree. It's always nice to be able to kind of process this with somebody before you have, if you
Yeah.
have the time, before you have a hard conversation.
Yeah. Yeah.
Carrie, our director of operations, and I, we call, she's the head and I'm the heart,
Yeah.
and so between
Yes.
the two of us, we can kind of keep each other in check a little bit, which then I
Yes.
then kind of reflected down with the staff. And we always make sure, taking in both, you know, must do things with the it's like the hard things and the soft things at the same time.
Hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. Yep. Yep. You need that other perspective. I mean, I would be so disorganized without the help of the other people who are here. And I know a lot of my areas of weakness, and I'm lucky enough to have a lot of colleagues who step in those spaces. And my husband, he's very good at removing any emotion from anything and kind of reflecting it from a very balanced place. So,
Well, so part of what I'm thinking as we keep talking too is the skill set of being a leader or an owner, and there are some people think being a therapist is just kind of insane. Okay. But some people also think being, the owner can be insane too. And,
yeah.
but I've learned, I love them both. And I wouldn't percent of the time. And I always kind of knew that. And so, some people think I am crazy liking the administrative stuff, but I, so I'm talking about maybe two different things, but it's the skill set and how you use that. And, I mean, I'm wondering, Kelly, that are you feeling, that balance, with both being a therapist and a leader, and balancing that? Can you speak to that a bit? I don't.
That is the question. I feel like I would say I feel more balanced today than I ever have, but that's always my struggle. I um, balance is hard when you're a group practice owner. It's such a personal thing. You know, you love the practice and you love the people and you want to make sure that, you're managing all the things and doing well, and there's so many pieces to it. And we own two properties that we're in, so there's a lot of property management that I'm doing too.
Yeah.
um so yeah, but I love being a therapist. That's the part that I feel like really is my favorite. So I have to do both. I can't imagine just being an owner and not being a
Oh,
therapist. And I feel like I've gotten to a pace that feels the most manageable it's ever been. I think I am kind of crazy, but I'm just owning that. So it's the only way.
I can relate. Yeah. Yeah. I found that therapy, you know, what's your job? Okay. And your job is to attend to the person or persons in the room with you. And there's you really need to try and not think of the other thousand things that are going on or whatever in your head or anything. And because um, uh, that's your focus. And I think, God, isn't that something that we can focus on one person and one item for an entire hour? And what a gift that is,
Mhm.
to and to my clients. So, and then I put on my administrative hat and it's like, yeah, okay, I got to deal with mice and
999 things.
yeah. So, yeah. Hmm.
Well, and I feel like as a group practice owner, we, like you, Jim, that leads with heart and really cares. A lot of times I feel like I am in the therapy role and I'm not their therapist, but really listening and attending to the people who work here. And so I've learned to kind of account for that too. That's a big part of my job is listening and attending to the people who maybe are struggling with something hard with a client, or even just something personal that, in order for them to show up to their clients, they need to talk about it. And so um, I'm now honoring that as part of my work instead of just throwing it into this crazy mix of things and trying to fit it all in and trying to attend to everything without making the space for it.
Yeah. Yeah. You
Yeah.
well, okay. I'm also thinking, and I want to get your perspective on this. Uh, Within the last 6 months, things have shifted again for the Jonas Center, and noticing people coming into the office more and everything. I mean, for 2 years, I was coming into the office by I was the only one here, so
Mm,
talk to anybody, yeah, except my clients who came in, um, you
yeah.
the mail, all that kind of stuff, and there's this shift, and I find myself going, "Wow, it takes a lot of time to say hi to somebody, to a another therapist, and
Right.
to have an interaction." And yet I go, "Wow, that's so valuable,
Yeah.
and we need to,
Right.
you know, reshift." And I think we are, but it it was quite a contrast.
Oh,
Change.
yeah.
I was just saying,
Yeah.
change.
And I've,
Oh, sorry.
oh, sorry, Paul.
Geez, Paul.
We got a
I mean,
small delay
son.
on this.
You know,
We'll do a cut, Sam. Make that look better than all that.
makes that look. Oh,
Oh, sorry about that. Go for it, Kelly. You go ahead and respond.
um, I lost my train of thought.
So,
Oh, now I know what I was going to say. I was just going to say, I've noticed that, Jim, as we've grown too, like now we have, I think there are 34 of us. And
oh,
it's really important to me that I know every single person. I don't need to know everything about them, but I want to have a relationship with them that they
yeah.
feel like, they're cared for, they're seen, they're known. We do a lot of referring, we see like I'm seeing the couple and someone seeing the kid, and
Hmm.
we all want to know each other, and that takes more time, like you're saying,
Yeah.
making the space in your week to make sure you are saying, how was your weekend, what's going on with you, haven't seen you in a while, all that stuff. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
and what I was thinking of was it's the space in between the tasks a little bit. So if you've got
Yeah.
1,000 things that you need on taking that task to, like that's something we didn't do, during the
mm,
crawl.
Yeah.
It's like do your thing, and then there's no one else around, and so it gives you a little bit of space in between to be human again and
Right.
just interact in
right,
relational way.
Yeah.
right.
Well, until you talk about knowing your team a little bit, Kelly, I kind of want to bring it back to that, like your decision to really focus on that diversity and that inclusivity that you were talking about.
Sure.
Can you
Yeah.
talk about the some of the conscious decisions you made in a little more detail about celebrating those differences, and how then also how to work together when people are different?
hmm Yeah, I think that's always a work in progress and something that we're always working on. We definitely don't have it like figured out perfectly or anything, but the I've always really valued different ways of experiencing the world and people's different histories, and that's always been something that I've been excited about. And as we've focused on, Down to Earth has always been connected to our community, and we've done work to partner alongside other agencies that have more diversity and, engage in the community in different volunteer efforts, and attending different conferences and things like that, so that we've really been doing a lot of work around decolonizing and anti-racist practices, and developing relationships. That diversity has kind of grown naturally, and it's been really a gift. I think there are things that I've learned and that others here have learned from just different ways of doing therapy and being present. I mean, we have, just to give you an example, we have a location on Selby, and one of the therapists there decided, has a little backyard, like planted an herb garden in the back, and she made salves for like her clients, and clients will go out back and like be barefoot in the grass and like can experience the herbs, and like it's just a different way of doing therapy that feels to me so expansive and so exciting, and it's just brought this kind of richness to our practice, and I feel just so grateful for the people who've joined and have shared their different experiences, and they've also shared their pain and hardship. And those of us who come from more privileged identities are doing our work. You know, we have a book club on decolonizing therapy,
Hmm.
and we do different things throughout the year to just kind of do our work and practice
Mhm.
in a way that is inclusive and is open and honoring the different people who've joined. And it's not, it sounds, I'm saying it in a way that sounds really lovely, but it's not easy. It's been messy.
Okay.
And that's just part of the good, the good work that we're trying to do.
Cool. So I
Mm-hmm.
acknowledge that can benefit, build out of that.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah.
Should we go on? The supervision. So you've built a supervision team, Kelly, and a
Yes.
training program. So you're doing that pre-licensure thing. What
Yeah.
inspired you to start that? What?
Uh, well, that is definitely something that's been co-created too. I think that
Hmm.
I was the first supervisor here and really loved having students and um, enjoyed that experience. And a few other therapists who were getting to that point expressed interest. And now I see it as, and pretty early on, I've seen it as a way to help the more seasoned therapists stay engaged and
Hmm.
growing. So we have 7 supervisors, and we have usually 6 or 7 students that are with us for the whole year doing their practicum. And I've been able to really, the value of that is I'm able to financially reward the students and the supervisors in a way that I think keeps the students feel, I mean, it's a hard year. I mean, they're getting paid, but it's not like they're making a lot of money.
Right.
But I think they feel appreciated. And then the supervisors are able to expand their day, and that they're not just seeing clients, they're doing something different. Supervision is deep work. We work as a group. We have a cohort model, and the supervisors are supporting and challenging each other. So it's really been growthful, and I think it's kept people interested and engaged and feeling like they're growing even after they've kind of been in practice a long time. So
Mhm.
Was the decision to, so 6 to 7 supervisors, that seems like a lot, or well, 6 to 7 trainees or clinical intern. But that sounds like quite a few supervisors. Is that something, did you consciously build that into down to earth, to like you know, get here, get going, get your supervision certificate, and let's make some magic happen? Or how did that come to be?
it was very natural, I would say, very gradual. Over time, people just like seeing that those of us who are doing it are really enjoying it
Hmm.
and wanting to be a part of it and wanting to have that as like a part of their professional growth. And it's tricky, I will say. I mean, we've grown where more and more people want to supervise, and I'm thinking to myself, wow, how many students can we have, and office space and all those things. But overall, I think it's been, the supervisors are really kind of at this point, I would say a lot of like the leadership, if there is, they're really, we don't have a hierarchical system at Down to Earth, but they really do provide some structure and some kind of advanced practice and feedback for me. And it's just it's been a great thing. And the students bring so much to our practice each year because, as we said before, they're learning all these cool things. They're cool people. They are, fresh, and they're helping me figure out AI and using social media and all those things that aren't strengths of mine, but that they can do easily. And so it's been a really cool part of our practice.
It's awesome. Just I'm picturing like cycles of learning between all the different people that are involved in Down to Earth. That young learning from old. People who have this version of their training or their licensure, learning from people with different licenses and different experiences, and then the cultural learning. It sounds like this just really cool like effervescent learning experience for everyone. Just bubble all over the place.
Effervescent, son. That's
the
pretty
word
good.
that
Yeah.
came up.
I
I
like.
like that word.
Oh my gosh.
Effervescent supervision.
Yeah. Yeah.
No.
Oh shoot. Oh.
So you've talked a little bit about like what is the most rewarding thing for you as a supervisor? And I know we've kind of touched on that a bit, but is there like one thing where like, you know, when this thing happens, this is why I do this, or anything like that?
Yeah, I think it's so fun to be a supervisor, in particular to students, and see where they're at when they start and they've never sat with a client before. And they're nervous and they feel like they don't know what they're doing. And, we're giving them lots of room to make mistakes, but they're still super stressed. And then to see them at the end of their practicum where they're really ready to go do private practice or whatever they want to do in the field. They've sat with individuals, couples, families, kids. They've learned how to run a private practice administratively. And just kind of see who they've developed into. Um, and as a therapist, and it's just, that is very rewarding, I think, for myself and for all the supervisors, just to see that evolution in a year. And I
Yes.
think as a supervisor to pre-licensed folks too, I've had people even here at Down to Earth I've supervised and then have grown and then have left Down to Earth and started their own thing. And that's been really exciting to see too, because
Mhm.
you get to kind of watch that journey and see what they do with it, which is awesome.
So Kelly, you don't have like a non-compete or anything like that. It's-
Nope. I have never practiced with that approach ever. I usually say to people, like, I know full well, like, you're going to come here and I hope you have a great experience. And the goal is for you to grow into the type of therapist, business owner that you want to be. And if you want to leave here and do your own thing, I will support you. I will support your clients following you, and I'll even help you if you want me to, because we're lucky enough to work in a field where there doesn't need to be that competition. There's so much need, and there's so much good that comes, I think, from people, even if they just spend a bit of time here going out into the community on their own. We're all networked and we're all spreading good energy. And I've never approached it from like a possessive or like controlling type of, and not
okay.
even that, just like a you belong to us or something. That's
Right.
never been my approach.
Exactly. Okay. Well, we're we're on the same page there too. It's like, oh my God.
Yeah, I figured.
No, yeah. You know, it's part of your life journey. And if it means staying here because you feel good about being here or going out on your own, it's like I'm gonna support you in doing that. So yeah.
Right.
A lot of people
Right.
are
You care about the person, the
yeah,
person over the bottom line.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So yeah,
Yeah, it's not, oh, that's not how all businesses get run, that's for sure.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
practices are not like a lot of businesses. It's a whole
Right.
animal.
Right.
What are
Yeah.
we
I think
doing?
you almost have to do, I was just
Yeah.
going to say, I think you almost have to do some unlearning
Oh
as
yeah.
a group practice owner of what is business because you're told that business is the bottom line and all those things, but that's actually, I don't think that works well in creating a healthy system.
Right.
I gotta get into the so for you. I also spent a lot of letters that they are business people too. Because there is still that aspect of it. And I think this isn't an either or, but more of a both and. that acknowledging that a therapy practice is not a typical business where you're exchanging goods or an hourly service, and making money for that. Because therapy is very different, but it's, I think, important to clarify that while it's not the same, I spend a lot of time saying, like, but you got to collect your copays, you got to get your
Yeah.
money does matter. It just
Hmm.
maybe different is
Mm.
the way to think about it. There's so much
Right.
non-financial things of importance involved in malpractice.
Pay attention to that credentialing email that comes from the insurance company.
Please just look at
Yes.
just do a little business thingy and spend a Friday.
For
Yes.
sure. What are we doing
I'm waiting for you
next?
to ask that next
You
question.
mean the supervision? What has supervision taught you? No, what?
Can you share a story?
Oh, sharing a story about supervision.
We need like we need better scripts.
No, I blame the script.
Better script readers.
Oh, the better script readers. Oh. So, well, and I'm feeling like Kelly's been sharing some stories here.
So we can scoot right past. But is there a specific one?
Is there a specific story that about supervision and what it's taught you, Kelly, when
Let me think. A specific story about supervision.
good or bad?
I think
an ugly one.
every, every supervisee I've had has taught me a lot. And I'm trying to think of one that really stands out. I would say the hardest, maybe. I had a supervisee, and I thought it was going great. We were 3 months into supervision, and she one day told me she wasn't getting her needs met in supervision, and I was horrified because that's not, I'm trying as hard as I can, right? I'm giving her all I've got, and I feel like it's going good, and it really took me by surprise. And she was so good at kind of naming the things that are my weak points. And she was mentioning that, I'm not teaching her how to do a good treatment plan. And in all honesty, like, insurance companies, forgive me, but that is really the least important thing for me in supervision. So, she was really good at noticing all these weak points of mine. And it really got to me. And I really lost my footing in terms of remembering who I am and what value I bring. And I had to do a lot of consultation around it. And, in time, we were able to work through it. And she ended up working it down to earth after that, after her internship ended. But it was a really interesting growth experience to be supervising someone who, for whatever reason, our dynamic, we kind of got each other both off of our game, and how we worked through that in a relational way. And yeah, I think some of the harder supervisees I've had have taught me the most. So,
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thanks for that's tough when your like your self narrative is challenged a bit to be able to respond, work through that.
Yeah.
Well, I think it deepens you in your own awareness of who you are as a supervisor and what you bring. I questioned myself so much. I thought, oh my God, I'm terrible at teaching treatment plans. Oh my gosh, what's wrong with me? And then I had to come to the realization of, no, that's just not my strong suit as a supervisor, and that's okay. If you want to learn how to do a good treatment plan, I know a few people down the hall who can teach you that. But that's not really what I have necessarily to bring as a strength here. So, I mean, I'll teach you how to do a treatment plan, but it might not be the world's best.
You're just checking boxes, Kelly.
Oh, shoot. Yeah. As you're speaking, I'm going, yeah, that's a humbling experience when you think things are going great and everything. And then, your supervisee or a client might say, well, I'm not quite getting my needs met. And it's like, oh, wow, I thought
Yeah.
great. And yeah. So
You I've had that happen in 15 plus years of
Plus
this.
15. Wow. A supervisee, I don't know about a supervisee, but I had a client once. I thought I did the best couples session on earth. This was like, oh my gosh, I am so on, and they are liking this. Both of them are liking it and loving it. And at the end of the session, I go, well, and this, I made the assumption that they were going to come back because I had been so great. Okay. And so I said, when would you like to schedule, rather than would you like to schedule,
Mm. Yep.
or, would you like to do? And the guy looks at me and goes, well, we'll think about it. And then he left. And I'm like, oh, my bubble was burst. And
Oh
I had
yeah.
that. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Humbling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very. Been
Yeah.
there.
Yeah. Me, you're highlighting now.
Yeah.
I got another question for you, Kelly.
Okay.
This is a good one. So you mentioned the importance of not being an island, connecting with others.
Ooh, yeah.
How has community and mentorship played a role in your growth as a supervisor and a practice owner?
It's been everything for me. When I started Down to Earth, I started connecting with other group practice owners. And for the past probably 8 years, I have breakfast every 4 to 6 weeks with three other group practice owners. And we just have supported each other over time. And we kind of, run ideas by each other, talk to each other about struggles we're having. And it's been so helpful to it's a
Mm,
unique place, I think, to be the group practice owner. You want
mhm,
to talk to your colleagues at work about it, but nobody can really understand unless they're doing that work.
mhm,
And so that's been immense. I mean, it's just been immensely helpful. And then my mentor has meant everything to me. I feel like having somebody who knows you well and pushes you to stay true to your values and to listen to your intuition and really, just is there for you when you're struggling that's been the greatest gift to me.
mhm.
So it's been worth it in every way. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah.
You got a real cool super program over there. No.
Oh, thanks. Yeah. Yeah. And I also really love talking to other therapists. So I really enjoy talking to, like, having coffee with people or hanging out with other therapists. So networking has just been huge, I think, and not feeling like an island.
Mm.
That's cool. Well,
Yeah.
in our last little segment here, and these are a little bit quicker hit questions.
Oh.
So,
Okay.
and we're gonna try and pull some advice. We're gonna from the mind of Kelly Evans, LMFT,
Oh, gosh.
see what advice we can give. Um, so, and going back to the concept of leadership, if you had to sum up your leadership philosophy in just a few words, what would they be?
My leadership philosophy in a few words: warm, collaborative, honest.
Awesome.
Mm,
That's what I would say. Yeah. I think, um, approaching people with warmth instead of frustration, really being, I would add curiosity to that too. Curious,
You've mentioned that a few times.
being, yeah, yeah. I used to have a shirt that said, like, Little Miss Curious, because I've always been just curious about people. I, to a point where, maybe people don't invite me to dinner parties or whatever. But I love learning about people. So
yeah.
yeah, I think, approaching people with warmth, wanting to understand their perspective and partner with them, and instead of telling them how to do something,
Mhm.
and then being curious about their perspective. When I was training to be a supervisor, I had a mentor who really modeled for me, he would show me when people would say things that were kind of alarming, or, I'd feel like, oh, we got to make sure they don't do that. He was such a warm and kind of curious presence that he would help people come to their own kind of right answer, just in sitting with them and giving them the space to kind of find their way. And I've really taken that
Mm.
with me when it comes to leadership. That's
Hmm.
Bruce Miner.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
Bruce.
Yeah.
Bruce and Brian,
Yeah.
my
And
supervisor. You
yeah,
know.
and Briar's my mentor. So
Oh my
she's
God.
been,
Yeah.
yeah,
I started
yeah,
to. Yeah. Yeah. Great. Wow. Well,
yeah.
okay. So, Kelly, for practice owners listening who might be feeling overwhelmed by growth, things are happening quickly. What would you say to them? What advice would you give?
It's hard. I wouldn't give them advice. I would give them empathy. I've been there and I will be there again, and I've lost a lot of sleep, and I've worried a lot, and I've stressed a lot. Um and that's because we care. We really care about our business and our colleagues, and it's part of the good times and the hard times, is just kind of
Mhm.
being open and being there for all of it. And hopefully we learn. Like I said, I'm always trying to find balance, and I feel like I've gotten to the best place so far. I'm sure there's a lot of room to grow, but I don't know that I have advice other than it's part of the journey,
Yeah.
and I empathize.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, in maintaining
Yeah.
a balance, that balance, yeah, it's hard. It's hard at times.
Hmm.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good question. What gives you some hope or excitement about the behavioral health field, in the future here, despite the challenges we've been talking about?
Yeah, I think what gives me the most excitement is what I'm seeing in the students coming in.
Okay.
There's so much more emphasis and awareness of diversity, of new ways of doing therapy that aren't rooted in white supremacy. And it really excites me to see what's happening,
Hmm.
and to see people getting a chance to really do what in a human way feels right versus what is in some book or what some person from many, many years ago felt was healing. So I'm just loving learning about these new ideas and new ways of treating people that feel more aligned with who we are as humans versus
Hmm.
Freud or something. So
Yeah.
it's exciting.
Yeah. Huh.
So, last question. Well,
Okay.
this is yeah. So, again, we're trying to pull all the greatness that we can while we have you here on the pod here.
Oh
Uh,
gosh.
what is one piece of advice that you would give someone who's just starting out as a new supervisor, or practice leader? I guess you could pick either one, or maybe give one for each. But for someone who's starting out, and I guess this kind of harkens back a little bit to like watching a new supervisee have that first session going to their last session as a supervisee. What about the supervisor, that first time where you're responsible for this person learning? What advice would you give?
Yeah, I think I would. We've had that recently. Someone here recently became a supervisor and was feeling really nervous about it. And I think trusting yourself. You don't have to know everything. You don't have to have perfect advice. You don't have to, be some expert. Just trust yourself to be with that supervisee and be present, and let that relationship come together. I say that to new therapists too. You don't need to go into a session knowing everything about how to help a teenage boy regulate his anger or something.
Mhm.
You just need to show up, be present with this person, and that's more than half the battle.
Yeah.
So I think, the best work we can do is work on ourselves, and learning who we are and how we show up for others, and the rest comes.
Yeah. Huh.
Well, thank you, and thanks for joining us today.
I have one more question
Yeah.
too.
Oh, okay.
Okay. I'm just wondering, down to earth, how did you come up with that?
Yeah, I wish I had a really good story. I just thought about at the time I was working at a community mental health clinic, and I felt like at that time, this in particular community mental health clinic was rooted in a lot of psychoanalysis and kind of more blank slate, a different type of therapy that I was used to providing. And I was trying to think about how I show up as a therapist and how I would like to feel as a client. And I just felt like down to earth just sounded like the right thing. I mean, just down to earth,
I
no
like,
fancy words,
yeah, no. Oh,
no suit, just, and that's why our practice is we're in two houses, because I want people to, well, our hope is that people feel like they're in a comfortable setting. So
no. Yeah. I love it.
That's perfect.
I love the story. Yeah.
thanks.
Well, yeah. So thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
We really enjoyed having you on here. Thanks for talking about leadership and supervision and sharing your story. Are there any last thoughts or anything you want to you'd like to share?
I would just say thank you for having me. I don't talk to a lot of people about all of this stuff in an hour or whatever. And it's been really fun to just reflect and to share with the two of you. And yeah, thank you for letting me be on my first podcast. Thank you.
Oh, well, and yeah, thank you. This is, yeah.
Yeah, you're most welcome.
Definitely.
Coming on, and I think it's just a really great. I think you've shared a lot today, and so that's really cool. So we really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Well, I guess
where are we at?
I guess that's it.
Do we have thoughts?
That's it.
Oh, I don't think we're doing thoughts anymore. We've had so many thoughts.
We've had a lot of thoughts. Okay,
I know there's a ton more good ones that Kelly has.
But
per episode.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
So I think we'll call that it.
All right. Let's do it.
Okay.
Well, this has been an episode of The Right Tack with Kelly Evans, LMFT and owner of Down to Earth Therapy. Make sure to follow us wherever you get your podcasts.
Well, yeah, and it's been great and inspiring to look at what, where you've come from. What?
Do we want to start that over?
Oh, my God.
God, Sam.
It's down here. Oh, okay. So you're down there.
I just
you skipped
you
all
responded
that.
as you saw fit.
Okay. All right. So, do you want to start that over the?
You want to have the honest and inspiring?
No, we can skip that.
All right.
Yeah. Well, although I kind of like that.
Well, let her rip.
Okay. So Kelly. Okay. So Sam, start. Excuse me. This has been a great and inspiring look at what it really takes to lead with the heart in this field, and we really appreciate what you bring to the field and what you brought to this podcast today.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
So much.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
And with that, we'll wrap up this episode of The Right Tack. Thanks to Kelly Evans and talking to us a bit about her approach on supervision and leadership at Down to Earth Therapy. And really, maybe not even her approach, but the approach, I should probably say, after talking with you a little bit here.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you for bringing that to the masses. And then for everybody else out there listening, make sure to follow us wherever you get your podcasts.
You bet. If you like what you're hearing, share it with your friends and colleagues.
And until next time, I'm Paul Jonas.
And I'm Jim Jonas. Keep your eyes on the horizon.